Call the meeting to order, and welcome Grandpa Hugh to the meeting. Congratulations to your son.
Yes.
Oh, the baby.
Where'd it go?
Last night, middle of the night.
How does your son have a baby and he gets a black eye? I'm confused by all this.
That's $1 million question.
There's something I don't know about here.
With that, I would like to move adoption of the agenda, please.
Move.
All in favor? Motion's carried. No delegations, minutes, or departmental reports. Staff report at page 3. Recommendation regarding carry forward of unexpended project budgets to 2014.
Move.
Second.
Your worship,
Yes, sir.
there's one project that isn't on that list, $20,000 for fire hall renovations. Gord expected to have the project done this year. Unfortunately, when the flooring arrived last week, it turned out to be the wrong type, and they have to go back to the factory and start again. So can we please add fire hall renovations for 20 grand to that list, please?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
On the amendment, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Any discussion on the main motion as amended? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Correspondence, at page 5, I move to receive that correspondence.
Second.
Receive that, all those in favor? Motion's carried. As you know, earlier this afternoon, CAO has provided some comments received from the local detachment, and it's up to council whether to add to that and whether they wish to participate in any way in this further discussion of the started by this blue ribbon panel on crime reduction. And there will likely be a regional roundtable of that, so we're looking for our input. So we'll open it for further discussion, of course incorporating what we received from the RCP. We can probably deal with it, I suppose, by priority lists. To start with, the RCMP have indicated there are 4 priorities. There may be others that council wishes to include. I suppose in terms of crime, traffic safety isn't normally considered criminal, but it's certainly a priority always in the community.
Public safety.
Public safety goal, yeah. So we perhaps add traffic safety as a priority for the town, particularly given our aging population.
Do we see that as a problem?
I think it's always an issue in any town. It doesn't necessarily have to be the number 1 issue. Anecdotally, I suppose we hear of issues from time to time. And we're certainly striving to deal with them with infrastructure and other improvements. Barbara?
Yes, and I think it's traffic safety, all forms of traffic, whether it's cycling, cars, and mobility aids.
Yes. Yeah, that would be the intent for sure, all kinds of modes of transport. Yes, Ken?
Are domestic problems not one of the bigger ones that the RCMP in general deal with?
Domestic violence? Kind of?
Yeah, just domestic disputes and domestic violence and that type of thing. I think is one of the, like just overall for the RCMP, I'm not sure if it relates as well to our town, but, certainly an area, one of the bugbears I always have is that, we have the RCMP and they do a lot of traffic control, which is good, but, is that at the expense of, other things that they could be doing? So,
Well, I know they do have a dedicated staff member on that unit, if you will, the RCMP. Spoke up to that. The last time they had one of the Purple Ribbon campaign kickoffs, they had the RCMP member who was involved with that. So they certainly have focused some resources in that area. And beyond that, we'd have to ask our local detachment about other specifics. It's obviously a concern that I've addressed resources to.
I should think after our last week that perhaps break and enters and bank robberies might go on our list.
Well, the B&Es have stopped.
Yeah.
And there appears to be one guy passing through.
Yeah.
He went to Camp River apparently.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Pat.
Maybe the staff would be better to give serve the town.
Yeah, our, sure, our public, our parks and public works can speak to that.
At this point in time, I don't really know what to attribute it to. Vandalism is at an all-time low. Our response to vandalism, just general nuisance vandalism, is extremely low. Nothing I have no baseline information. I have no information at all to base that on. I'm assuming it's a cyclical kind of thing or pattern. But knock on wood, we're really in good shape right now. I haven't, I just don't know what to attribute it to.
You?
Yeah, I think if you look at any research for improving crime reduction, a lot of it will point to education. And if I had to make a suggestion locally, is that to be more positive or proactive with youth, and particularly teenagers in schools. And they used to have school liaison officers in the schools, and that made a huge difference. And I know I've seen in Vancouver where they have anti-gang education programs that forewarn some of the, say, top or bottom 15% of kids that don't have the access to post-secondary education or things like that, and the resource-based jobs that used to be here 20, 25, 30 years ago, where they could go get well-paid jobs out of school, aren't there anymore. And it's pretty tempting when they get recruited by unsavory types and gangs and groups to get into drugs and whatnot. I saw in the 90s anyway, they had proactive school liaison officers in the school, and it made a huge difference because it's not the cops anymore, it's a person that they get to know, and it pays dividends for it with all kids getting to know police in their local community as people, not as police. And any efforts there to get proactive contact with teenagers is huge. And I think that would pay dividends for vandalism, and I'm pleased to hear that there's a drop in vandalism, but I think that would be huge. The other thing I was going to mention is neighborhood watch programs used to be pretty prominent and successful, and whereas communities help the police in taking care of themselves, and I thought that was a really good program and helpful.
All right. Take some of those comments under.
Yeah, it reminds me of something that the Youth Justice, or the Justice Center that was started some years ago, and the RCMP are always or at one time were a big, used to send a lot of clients or referrals to that group. And that had dropped off at one point when I was on the Youth Justice Committee here. They were talking, and that was a few years ago, so I don't know if that's actually still the case or not, but if they can handpick those cases
He was on that board.
and send them through that system, I think it's a lot better than the court system for some.
You're hang on, Ken, that was my last point here. The restorative justice program as an alternative to the courts for youth, it has a pretty good success rate as being effective to kids for youth, and it's still prominent and a preferred, it needs to be recommended to the RCMP to be a preferred route. So I would agree with you there.
Okay, well, they're looking for the top 3 to 5, I guess. So we've certainly added a few to the list. It's not up to us to prioritize the list, but we can certainly add these comments into it and send it back. Anything further to add? Question 2 is the most pressing crime problems indicated in the communities, and that was use of drugs and alcohol as part of your related property crimes particularly. In terms of what we already discussed, I guess there's relatively less pressing, perhaps, issues, but still important ones. If there was anything else more pressing than what's been identified by the RCMP, we can move on to anything else. I guess we can add further information as we go. In terms of what we've done, I guess, locally is, I think this has been referenced in other reports back to the RCMP, and the provinces work with the RCMP on our advisory planning and design work, crime prevention through environmental design, making sure that their comments are incorporated within new development. Also working with bylaw officer issues that may be more neighborhood related, seems to help. And of course, more pedestrian pedestrian, cycling, and motorist-oriented infrastructure we do with proper design and so on, that helps hopefully keep those issues down. So is there anything else members of council would like to add or subtract? Yes?
Nothing really to add, but I think it is interesting that the police actually highlighted too, I think what we're all aware of now, that a major crime problem is through addiction, mental health issues, and homelessness. So that tackling those areas, which are often not seen in the law enforcement realm, is perhaps going to be one of the major cruxes to getting a handle on crime prevention. But statistically, that is showing up that major, the most amount of crimes are coming out of those areas.
All right, anything further? Patty?
I think Paul was said, but just to reiterate that how we are continuing to develop the town through infill, secondary suites, smaller lot sizes, I think all those pieces bring density, which brings more eyes on the street, and I think that's a way to combat crime, vendors, vandalism. I think we're heading in the right direction on that.
Anything further? Do we have enough to complete that? Send it along and see when the meeting happens and let you know. Not quite. Not quite. All right. So with that, we can move on then to our in-camera portion. So a motion to go to the public under Section 93 of the Charter.
What public?
So moved.
All in favor?